Hello, welcome to Geeks Unleashed. It's episode 81. As usual, I'm Mark.
And I'm Jasmine.
And for the entire month of December, we've been building up to this, baby.
Yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home. So we've been talking about Spider-Man all month, the Sam Raimi trilogy, the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi.
Yep, and the Mark Webb.
Yeah, and then the Andrew Garfield duology. It's probably the best way of putting it. And then today we are focusing on Tom Holland and his MCU appearance, including, of course, No Way Home.
Yep. Oh boy. Okay. Spoiler warning. Please, if you are a fan of Spider-Man and you have not yet seen No Way Home, please do not listen to this episode. Okay. You should be able to go and see this movie as unspoiled as possible as a fan, and then come back and listen and geek out with us after you have seen this film, because we're not holding anything back. We are definitely going to spoil it. But seriously, guys,
100%.
Save yourself. Like, do not listen yet if you have not seen it.
I think most people that are probably like us have gone by now.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark says by now. We are literally recording this on opening night.
So opening night in America.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so opening night in the UK was the 15th.
Was Wednesday. Yes.
Yeah, so we're recording on the 8th.
2 days before us. I saw it yesterday.
Yeah, sorry, it's the 18th for me now. It's almost 1 a.m, and it's the 17th still for you. So yes, opening night in the States. So, but we always get Marvel movies 2 or 3 days early. So
yeah, now you do.
Marvel
6 months later.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, sometimes like a couple of years. Sometimes it was quite funny when we've done reviews of classic movies how the release date was so far away for old movies, and now they're like, so Marvel must just realize they prefer the UK.
Your tiny little market? I don't think so. South Korea brings in more revenue than the UK does. Nice try, buddy.
I didn't say they prefer the revenue. Maybe they just prefer the people. Cheers.
I'm not buying that.
Merry Christmas. Anyway, do you want to tell people to do something?
Yes, I do. So if you are watching us on YouTube, first of all, hey, please like and subscribe. Like
and
this
press the
video,
bell button
and then
the bell
subscribe to our channel. Yeah, and then click to get notifications so you know when we have dropped new episodes. If you are just listening on whatever your preferred podcast platform is, we appreciate that as well. And we would also appreciate it if you could leave us a review, 5-star review, on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser.
Obviously on YouTube, please comment away. Let us know. What we'd love is actually your ratings. Give us your ratings out of 5, and no spoilers in case people see the comments.
Yeah.
But just tell us if you enjoyed it as much as we.
We'll
tell you our thoughts as we get into it. Like, there's always something to criticize, but
is there?
Oh, I have one criticism.
Oh, okay, great. We'll get there.
We're not going to cover any news, but
nope, we're just getting straight to the nitty gritty, guys.
I'll be honest with you, I've not done much this week. I feel wiped out, so
it's like the holiday crunch right now. Like, I feel like everything at work is coming so fast just to be like, oh, now we're not doing anything next week. So it's been a busy week.
So I got like boosted on Tuesday and it like wiped me out. So
that's funny. I got my booster and my flu shot at the same time. And all I got was a sore arm, which I'm super grateful for.
Obviously, you're just a lot tougher than I am.
Well, but also like this was the first time that when I booked my appointment, they actually sent like a list of things to do before you come and get your booster. And it was like, be sure to be hydrated and yada, yada, yada. Well, I drink 1.5 gallons of water a day. So I think I was just like way more hydrated than
this kind of water.
No. Not the water of the alcoholic variety. No. This is the plain water before Jesus turned it into wine, okay? Like, just regular water, Mark.
In this one.
Yes, that's the one.
This is what I'm drinking. This is what I'm drinking after that. So this is my Friday night. This is COVID Friday night. So,
this is true. This is very true. This is how we roll.
Yeah, it's how we roll. Like, Anyway, no news. There's probably not really a lot to catch up on, other than the fact that I
No.
was just like dying a week. I didn't read anything. I literally don't know. I watched obviously the first two Spider-Man of the Homecoming saga. That's literally what I've done. Oh no, I watched FBI.
Oh,
I actually think it's a really good episode of FBI.
I don't watch any of
I'm
those.
I'm not particularly a fan of, like the one and dones. You could just pick up any of the week's ones. Yeah, but it was really good because they brought back. Do you remember the guy who played? Oh shit, I forgot his name. Dexter in Dexter. The guy who was the guy with the goatee in Dexter, who was
Angel?
in the original series. Yeah. So he was in FBI in the previous season as like a mafia boss, and he was in 2 episodes, and he was really good. And they brought him back in this week's FBI as like a big villain in prison. They brought him and basically he was going after the team because they put him away, and it kind of the whole episode been building up to it. And I kept saying, I bet any money, it's him. Like and like when they eventually like the whole team realize it was him, and they go to the prison, and he's like, I am not until you're all dead. I will not stop. So it was really good episode. I think he's such a good actor. He needs to be in more TV.
I love a good revenge plot.
Oh yeah. So that's why I think FBI of like the spin-offs I'm not that bothered about, but the main FBI has got some really good actors in it. So I kind of stick with it, even though it's procedural. And I've literally I've been saying this to you, I've dropped so many things now.
You dropped all your Chicagos.
Yeah, all my Chicago's. I think I'll still probably keep with PD because I do like PD. I've dropped Grey's Anatomy, I've dropped Station 19, I've dropped all of that shit now. I'm literally done with it. I'm like, do you know what? There's too much good TV out there to be wasting it watching this stuff. But I do like FBI. So, but the guy who plays Angel, he should be in more. So,
well, he pops up in the new Dexter, didn't he?
Briefly. Oh, do you watch that? Have you watching it? That's good. Actually, I watched that. I watched something as well called Yellow Jackets. I think you should check
I've not heard of that one.
Or Yellow Jacket with an S. I don't know if it's got an S or not. Basically, a bunch of girls football team, I think, crash in the middle of nowhere. And it's split between 1996 and present day. So it shows the girls crashing in the woodlands, and then it's showing them. Boy, it follows sort of 3 or 4 of them in the present time. And I get the feeling that these girls down in the woods, and they've already said in the present that they were in the woods for almost 2 years. I think it's like 18, 19 months. Something like that.
My gosh.
And they've already alluded to the fact that some very dark things happened during those 18 months. And yeah, like you can kind of see the origins of it creeping in the first few episodes. So but yeah, it kind of splits between now and then. So yeah, I don't really know much more about it, but I quite like the mystery of where it's going.
Yeah,
so.
That sounds like Alive, which was based on a true story. It's from the 90s. It's a film about a rugby team or a soccer team. It's a South American team that crash in the mountains, and half the people end up dying or freezing, and then the other half that survive have to eat the other passengers before they're rescued. Yeah.
Oh, I get the feeling something like that's gonna happen. Yeah, I get the feeling that I get the feeling something horrible like that's going to happen.
Yes.
So yeah.
That sounds like it checks out.
I might Google. I wonder, because sometimes these things are remakes. So I don't know. I didn't look it up.
Yeah. So the original, the film is called Alive, and it is based on I want to say soccer team. It's based on a true story.
Yeah. I didn't actually prep for this at all. So yeah, it's called Yellow Jackets. It is called Yellow Jackets. Hold on. Based on a true story. The idea for the series is largely influenced by the Donner Party and the 1972 Andes flight disaster. Is that the same thing?
I think it was, yes.
Okay, there you go. So there you go. It's based off the same material that you're referencing. But yeah, so cannibalism is inevitable.
Well, sorry I spoiled that for you.
I felt like that was coming.
Yeah.
I did, but I quite like it. Not the cannibalism, but I quite like the show. So I feel like the mystery's gone now. So
My apologies.
Anyway, let's jump into what we're here for.
All right, Spider-Man: No Way Home Studio. It's a combo from Columbia, Sony, and Marvel, based on, of course, Spider-Man by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, produced by Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal, directed by John Watts. Screenwriters include, across all three of the MCU Spider-Man films, Jonathan Goldstein, John Francis Daley, John Watts, Christopher Ford, Chris McKenna, and Eric Summers. These films star, in no particular order, across all three films, Tom Holland, Michael Keaton, Zendaya, Jon Favreau, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jacob Batalon, Lauren Harrier, Tony Revolori, Marissa Tomei, Robert Downey Jr., Samuel L. Jackson, Colby Smulders, JB Smoove, Martin Starr, Jake Gyllenhaal, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Benedict Wong.
It's a great cast already.
Yeah.
It's a shame they can't all be in one movie.
Yeah, it was actually kind of weird to see one of these Spider-Man films without Nick Fury.
He wasn't in the first one. He was only in the second one.
Oh, he wasn't in the first one?
No. He was only in the second one.
Oh,
it wasn't actually him.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Nick Fury. I wonder if Samuel Jackson was replaced himself. Maybe he's got a clone. No, it wasn't a clone. It was Skrulls. Anyway, so Spider-Man: Homecoming came out in 2017. However, Tom Holland's first appearance of Spider-Man in the MCU was actually in Captain America: Civil War, which came out the previous year in 2016, and that almost didn't happen. There was a whole thing between the background with Marvel and Sony, and Sony realizing
they had some trust issues to work out, guys.
Like there was a whole thing of we don't know what we're doing. You guys,
but we also don't want you to have this character.
Yeah, we don't want to sell him. We're willing to do a deal.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, Sony have made far more money.
Because once we get to the numbers for these three films, Marvel runs a really tight ship. In our last episode, we were talking about the budgets for the Amazing Spider-Man films, and those budgets were $293 million and $250 million, and in the Sam Raimi trilogy, that third Spider-Man film had a budget of over $350 million. And Marvel was like, no, that's not how we roll. We gonna make this movie for under 200 million, and it's gonna make bank, we promise. And they delivered.
Oh, so Spider-Man: Homecoming came out in 2017. Like I said, previous appearance was in Civil War, which was amazing. I loved him in Civil War. Not going to talk about Civil War right now, but it was brilliant how they introduced Tony Stark to go to Queens randomly, which I still think is crazy. If you're having a massive civil war in Europe, you're not going to jump on the plane. But anyway, we all love the fact that Spider-Man showed up, Nick Captain America's shield. That is kind of covered in summary in Homecoming. So the release date for Homecoming was in the US, the 7th of July 2017. On the UK side, it was the 5th of July 2017. Budget for that was $175 million US. Worldwide box office of $880 million US. So
I still can't believe they made that film for 175.
The thing is, I wonder if a lot of it's because they're making more than one movie. So I don't know what they may potentially reuse, or whether
I think a lot of it is because they have the tech already. Plus, they have stuff not that Lucas works on it, but they also have the same tech behind Star Wars. So they've got so much at their fingertips that I don't think that they had to outsource as much to get the film made.
It's probably a lot in-house, which saves them money. So anyway, that was followed up very quickly with Far From Home. However, between Far From Home, Tobey Maguire was in in Avengers 3 and 4.
Tom Holland, not Tobey Maguire.
Holland. Fuck me, I'm getting confused already. Tom Holland was in Avengers 3 and 4, which we know was the Infinity Saga, and he had a big chunk of the third film, but only came in at the end of the fourth one.
Yeah, because he got snapped.
Yeah, he was in the blip. So And Far From Home picks up right on the tail of Avengers 4, and you see a kind of a grieving Tom Holland, which we'll talk about in a minute. So 2019, release date for this, US was 2nd of July, 2019. However, in the UK, we got it about
week early.
Yeah, week early. I was like, oh, I've got to do the numbers.
It's late in the evening. We don't do numbers. We don't do math at this time of night.
Not for me. Like, it's 1 a.m. Anyway, 26th of June, 2019. Budget was less, 160 million, 160 million US dollars. How much did it make,
Mark?
How much did it make? Honestly, this is where Sony threw their toys out of the pram because it made this much money. It made 1.1 billion US dollars, you know. Like you can imagine like Sony spinning around in their chair going, we don't need Marvel anymore, we're out. Like, and let's be honest, I only make this money because of Marvel.
Oh yeah, of course. Like I can't fathom you 160. You are 15 million below your original film's budget.
It still must
turn over to over $1 billion.
Marvel still must like be spewing that they're making so much cash. Like they must be spewing. There was a rumor.
I mean, they're making their money off of it too.
Oh yeah. So basically, Sony threw their toys out the pram. We're like, we're done. After that, we're like, we're out. We're taking Tom Holland, and we're done with the MCU. We're done with Marvel. We're going to carry on. There was a bit of hissy fit. Apparently, Tom Holland actually called up drunkenly Kevin Feige and said, come on, can you guys sort it out? I remember, did you hear that? That
sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah. So I don't know. I bet Tom Holland did. Like, so anyway, I actually wouldn't ask Tom Holland to just get involved. Like, nobody wants Tom Holland playing with Mobius and what's it?
He's gonna have to though.
He's
gonna have to.
Only if they do it in a alternate reality thing where he can come back, like.
No, and in fact, actually, because Vulture is in that with Morbius.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll come back to that. So, anyway, let's talk about. So anyway, carry on with the numbers. So, Spider-Man: No Way Home obviously came out in 2021. Release date for that was in the US 17th of December 2021. The UK was 15th of December 2021. Budget was 200 million US dollars. Worldwide box office as of the 17th of December is 93.6 million.
It's gonna go so much higher than that.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, will it hit $1 billion?
Hard to say with COVID. I don't know that
the cinema I was in. Cinema I was in was packed, man.
I mean, it was. There were a lot of people in the theater, but it was nowhere near sold out.
I think the first few rows were empty, but other than that, it was full. Right, so
yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
It's hard to say. I think if any movie has the potential to do it, this could be the first pandemic film to break $1 billion. But I think that's a big ask because it's going to hurt numbers. I think elsewhere. I think in the US the numbers are going to be really great, but I think the rest of the world the numbers are going to still be pretty low and on par for what we've seen so far during COVID.
Okay.
I probably think maybe like 700.
I think we should. Do you know what we should do is when we come back in January, let's actually make that the first thing we look up is what were the numbers.
Okay.
I'd love to know. Yeah, maybe after opening episode of January, we'll just check out what the numbers are.
Yeah, we'll just check in. Oh, so that's my guess. 750 million.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna hit $1 billion, but like it should.
Oh, I agree that it should, but
yeah, I literally have been saying I want to go again. I mean,
I definitely will go again because I went.
Are you gonna go again? Well, you're gonna go again?
Yeah, I always go by myself. Usually the first time, but then my mom always wants to see stuff too, so I'll have to grab her on a weekend and take her too.
I'm considering going again. I honestly am considering it. So anyway, before we jump into the movie that we're all here for, we're going to quickly just summarize our thoughts on the first two because me and Jasmine are never going to go back and review these two now if we're going to review a third one. So as we did Sam Raimi's and as we did Andrew Garfield's,
we said we were going to go back and watch all the Spider-Man, and so we did.
Yeah. We haven't done the like 70s, 80s TV series, but
No.
By the way, did you ever see that live action TV series?
No.
Oh, I did.
My first introduction to Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire.
Okay, no, I remember as a kid the live action TV series. I can't even remember the actor now, but yeah, I remember him going like abroad, like China or somewhere. Vague memory of that. I could be wrong. Might have been somewhere else, but I do remember it having like an adventure style thing, like each episode doing things. So yeah, like
I mean that seems like on par with the 80s.
Yeah, it was kind of like an 80s feel, like 18 type, where we should definitely watch that.
Should we? We don't have to. I mean,
it'd be weird.
Always make me watch really shitty 80s stuff, Mark.
It'd be weird to watch it like with like the black borders. Like I hate the black borders so much. Like when I watch stuff on this TV and the kids come in, they're like, "Daddy," like if it's old, like "Daddy," like why is there 2 black borders on the side? I'm like,
it's called full screen.
Yeah. Well,
before all TVs went to the 16:9 format.
Yeah. I prefer this. So anyway, so Homecoming. Like I tell you what, we're not going to do. We're not going to summarize. We're not going to discuss the plot. By now, people have seen it. We're going to kind of just stick to like kind of 5 minutes to summarize. What were your thoughts on the first Homecoming movie?
I loved it. Michael Keaton is a fantastic actor in general, but he is a great villain. Loved him as Vulture. I absolutely loved that character. I loved how grounded all of the characters kind of felt. They actually felt like teenagers, as opposed to not necessarily so much in the Andrew Garfield films, but definitely in the Tobey Maguire films. Everyone felt so much older than.
Oh, the Flash was like 4 years old or something.
Yeah, like they all felt so much older than what they were supposed to be. So that kind of took you out of the element of it. But with Homecoming, it was like, this literally feels like high school. Like this feels authentic to the age that these kids are portraying, so I enjoyed that part of it. And it was just such a fresh take, so to speak. Like we actually got a really kind of young and naive and didn't really know what was going on kind of Spider-Man. And the focus seemed to be a lot more on like, I really want to do right, but I don't really know how to do that. So I'm going to keep making all of these mistakes. So I think there was a lot of this version of Peter Parker coming into his own that we didn't quite get in the other films. The other films, it's almost like they jumped straight into hero mode. Whereas with Tom Holland, like, we saw him in Civil War, but with this one, it was definitely more of a like him honestly trying to figure out what it took and what it meant to be a hero. So just kind of watching his journey into like basically like him growing into the suit. That was really fun to watch.
I liked there was a lot, like you said, I liked a lot of the movie of Homecoming. Michael Keaton really was an amazing villain.
Yeah.
But what I like is how they did have a sub villain like the Shocker, but it wasn't like where we had to, how they do this in any film that's not the Marvel, like the MCU, where they always feel like when they put in, like they do with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they also introduce Poison Ivy, and they spend too much time with both that you actually don't even care about a hero anymore. But they didn't introduce the Shocker to take away from anything. They introduced the Shocker as a real flipping D-level villain. Like we didn't care who he was. He was just like baddie on the table that the hero had to take out.
Yeah.
It wasn't important particularly who the Shocker was or who his family was or why he was a villain. We just knew he was a villain. It could have been anybody, like, Star Trek, the red shirt guy. Like it was just Shocker was just another red shirt. So I wasn't particularly bothered who the Shocker was, but I did think it was cool that the Marvel Universe had the Shocker. So because obviously I'm a Spider-Man fan. So it's cool to see people like that. But I thought it was a great adaptation of the Vulture from the comics, because the Vulture obviously in the comic universe is like 80 or something years old, and his wings are like, he actually, like his whole suit's green, and he has like, I don't know, like leather wings or whatever it is. So have you never seen the comic thing of the Vulture?
No, I certainly don't remember green wing. I've never seen a green vulture in my life.
Literally Google Marvel Comics The Vulture. It like I'm glad that version never made it into the movies. This is a much stronger version of the Vulture.
Yeah.
This is actually like one you'd be a bit scared of. I was not
Yeah, he was
scared.
frightening.
I've never been scared of the comic version of the Vulture. The comic
Yeah.
version of the Vulture is like a joke villain.
Yeah,
So,
but I also love how they like tied it all in with like them using alien tech to create this.
oh
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I definitely 100%. So I love the fact that we went back to like 2012 after the back of the first Avengers movie, and they've got their cleanup crew. I didn't really like the damage control. Was it damage control? Is it damage control? The agency brought in.
I don't remember.
There was an agency brought in. It was like damage something or other. That kind of annoyed me a little bit because like that would have been Shield. Obviously, because Shield had been moved away from the MCU, because they had, at the time this movie came out, there was the Shield TV series, so the movies had stopped referencing Shield. So I was a bit annoyed. I personally would like to have seen Shield still around. So now that maybe the TV series is gone, maybe they'll bring Shield back. Who knows? So,
is there even a Shield to bring back?
Well, the TV series ended with Shield back. So, but I think the TV series is so gone into its own reality, like alternate reality in the end, because it was so far removed.
Yeah,
so,
I never watched Shield.
In terms of the teenagers though in the school, I loved all of them. I thought they was great. They, like you said, about real genuine teenagers. I like the fact that Marvel and Sony were not pushing this time around to get them to be adults, like to get them to suddenly be working. And in fact, we had that across all three films. They were teenagers. They were just enjoying being at school and getting to know each other. And
they also picked nobodies. Like at the time, Zendaya was the biggest name of this cat, aside from Michael Keaton, obviously. But like she was the biggest name, and it was kind of like Tom Holland. I mean, unless you had really been like a huge Billy Elliot fan on showing on West End, like how many people even knew who Tom Holland was?
Well, I think this may be the first time I've seen Tom Holland, but in anything. In fact, I think this is. Oh no! Other than that horrible movie that me and you both reviewed, what's it called?
God,
what was it called?
The Devil
something. Devil all the time? Was it the Devil all the time?
Yes.
Yeah. That he was good. He was good in it.
Yeah, but that was a terrible.
But it was a terrible film. No, but I did like the fact that you could see he wasn't Spider-Man. So, anyway. I like the fact that we had some great teenagers. I think Liz Allen was great. So again,
I did like her.
As a comic book fan, I love the fact that we got Liz Allen. But it was amazing to see the twist that he goes to pick Liz Allen up for prom or whatever it was,
Vulture is her
or the
father.
dance, and Vulture is her father. I was like, that is such a great twist. And then you see his face in that car journey as Michael Keaton's Vulture is slowly figuring out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, like because Liz was literally like digging the shovel, like digging the hole, like she was like 100% like letting him down. She was like, "Yeah, Peter, you always leave. You always disappear."
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, "Shut up, Liz. Shut up."
Exactly.
Like,
Shut up.
It was like, "You're at my party. You were at my party." You're like, "Oh no, you left after 2 minutes." No, I didn't. Like, read the room, And then when we went on that school trip, and that's the other thing as well. I love that they did things like school trips, like it actually, and I love the fact that we had the same teachers in each movie, and I don't know, I loved the fact that they were just school kids, and even like Peter Parker was kind of the film started off with him being, I don't know, a bit of a loser superhero. Like he wasn't straight into it like Iron Man is or Captain America is. Like he's not suddenly chasing down big villains, and he's like kind of trying to blow his own trumpet to all his friends at school. Yeah, I'm on the Stark internship, but Tony Stark don't even return his calls. Happy Hogan.
And then Tony sends empty suits out to talk to him. I thought that was real fucked up.
And Happy Hogan isn't interested in him either.
Yeah. Happy doesn't become interested until he's in the second film, and then Happy is more interested in May than Peter.
So look, obviously the movie ends, gets wrapped up, etc. What would you rate it out of 5?
Homecoming out of 5, and against the other MCU films, I'd give Homecoming a solid 4.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult this as we go. I'm probably going to give it a 4 because it doesn't. I think just because there are other ones I may have different scores for, I don't want to take away from Homecoming, so I'm going to give it a 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would make my top 10. I don't think it would make my top 5.
Yeah. Okay.
MCU films only.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not of all films.
Yeah, no.
If it was like a top 10 of all films, it wouldn't be in it.
No, probably not even like top 25.
I don't have a top 10 films, but written down. I have started to write down my top 10 TV shows, but anyway, we won't do that now. So Spider-Man Far From Home. So what's your thoughts on Far From Home?
Did not really enjoy Far From Home. I thought Mysterio was just a ridiculously over the top kind of villain. And when the reveal happened, it was kind of like,
you mean the reveal that he was a villain, right, and he had a grudge against Tony Stark?
Right.
Okay.
At first, it was like, I was surprised by the drones. I hadn't expected the drones, but him being the villain, I was like, you're too like self-absorbed to be a good guy. Like, you couldn't possibly be a good guy. So I never believed the good guy shtick. And I just didn't. I thought that he took up too much of the film. I didn't like that he sort of stepped in as, and this, I'm sure this was part of the plot, but like he kind of filled the mentor role for Peter in this instance because Tony wasn't around.
Gone, yeah.
Right. And I did not like that at all. I
think because Tom Holland was looking for a mentor.
Yes. Yeah.
So he was easily manipulated.
Yes. And I think that is, it makes sense. I can understand how that would happen, but I think that is sort of a shitty way to treat your teenage character, right? Like, I get it. I understand why you did this, but I don't have to like it. So I just didn't enjoy the plot of this one. I mean, I love the scenery. Them filming all across Europe, especially some of the stuff that they did in Venice.
Did you like Night Monkey?
What? I don't like monkeys at all.
Not Night Monkey.
What is that?
No, the when he was dressed in the black character, the Night Monkey.
I don't.
Oh, you know.
Oh, that's what they called him.
Yeah. The Night Monkey. Yeah, no, like they said that's Europe's version of Spider-Man, the Night Monkey. No. How did you forget that? Like,
because I hate monkeys, so I usually get rid of all those references like right away. There's a lot that I didn't enjoy about this one, but I'll just say like, didn't enjoy the whole Mysterio thing. And then of course the very, very end where Mysterio finds a way to stick it to Peter, like right before he dies. That was kind of brilliant. I really, it made me hate him more, but like that was real kind of like smooth, like that a last fuck you. So that's probably the only good thing that I have to say about Far From Home.
Yeah. So Far From Home, I was on one hand, I was a bit peed off that's of Nick Fury and I forgot her name. The character was
Maria.
Yeah. Well, I was a little bit annoyed that actually wasn't them. They were Skrulls the whole time. But then on the other hand, I'm like, actually, the real Nick Fury never would have fallen for that crap. So it kind of forgives the stupidity. The fact that Nick Fury put a couple of Skrulls in his place. So you kind of like, okay, now it makes sense that, because even they addressed it like, we maybe effed up a little bit. So I think if it had been the real Nick Fury, you would have been like, what's going, how on earth did he let this go?
How did you miss that? Yeah.
So what's annoying is that cameo at the end where the real Nick Fury is in space still hasn't actually paid off yet. So here we are, 2021.
That's probably not going to pay off until what, Captain Marvel 2?
Well, or is it going to be like Secret Invasion? I think so. I don't know. I think it's more Secret Invasion, the TV series.
Maybe.
I don't know. Who knows? Let's not speculate. I'll be here all night. Mephisto. Maybe that's where he's going. Anyway. The movie, I didn't hate it. I think you hated it probably more than I did. I like the school trip element. I actually think that is good. I like the fact that we get to see that because that is a real thing. Kids go on school trips. Fun. I went to France when I was
I don't know, like
10 or 11 or something. A lot younger than
must
these
be nice.
kids.
I guess I went to just real fucking shitty schools. We went to the Museum of Natural Science. That was about it. We never went out of town ever.
I went on 2 school long-term residential trips. So one of them was I don't know if you've heard of Yorkshire. Have you heard of Yorkshire?
Yeah, I don't know where it is on a map, but I've heard of it.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot further up from me. Anyway, so that was like that was 1 year we went to Yorkshire and stayed there for a week, and then the second year we went to France. So we went. I can't think I was more than 11 or 12, but there was a whole load on a coach of us that went, and every day went to a different place. Like one day we went to the Eiffel Tower, another day went here, there, whatever. So I could kind of relate to that whole thing.
Yeah.
There was no Mysterio, there was no Spider-Man, but you know, I can kind of see how like that would be something that could happen. I didn't think Americans got pulled over to Europe for a whole week, like, but maybe they just went to a really good
but they
school
go to a special school, like a science academy or something.
Yeah, I kind of
science.
Yeah. Which makes a bit more sense that they'd have these sort of special.
Yeah,
things,
public schools don't do that. Public schools, like I said, they take you to the museum. That's it. They do not put you on a plane.
I did like it, and I did like the fact that Flash Thompson is kind of blackmailing Peter at one point. So
when isn't he?
Like, but yeah, overall, I did enjoy the film, and I did enjoy. I think Tom Holland, though, honestly, is such a funny actor. He could do more comedy, and like. Just, I love it when Happy's like, Nick Fury's going to call you, and he's like, why is he going to call me? He's like, well, you know, whatever. Anyway, he gets his phone out, it's ringing, and he just hangs up on him. He's like, Happy's like, you just hung up on Nick Fury. He's like, yeah, I know. Like, I think Tom Holland though plays it so well. Just so his lightheartedness is really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
So overall though, like, so anyway, so we get to the end. And that whole massive reveal that Mysterio really gives it to him when he drops him in it and says that Spider-Man killed me, whatever, and Spider-Man really is Peter Parker. Honestly, I did not see that twist coming. When that dropped, I was like, oh my God, when J.K. Simmons?
Oh, shit. Yeah.
J.K. Simmons from the Sam Raimi trilogy comes back. That was a shock.
When J. Jonah Jameson popped up, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
How little did we know that was the beginning of a whole S-ton of these people dropping out of the sky. Like, so anyway, so when he came back as J. Jonah Jameson, and obviously the shocking reveal that Peter Parker is Spider-Man to the whole world, and it kind of ends, I did not see that coming. I thought that was a shock and a half.
Yeah.
And we've had to wait a long time to see the repercussions of that.
Not really, just 2 years. Not that bad.
No, I feel like
2019.
Oh, well, I feel like it's been way longer than that. Maybe it's just
COVID. Maybe makes everything feel longer.
Maybe COVID is just getting to me. I've had enough. I've had enough, man. So I need to get out. I haven't seen a single person in 2 years. No, I'm joking. Of course I have. So anyway, just not as many people. So I've literally not left this room in 2 years. The only person I see is Jasmine on Zoom.
So, that's dangerous. It's enough to make you go mad.
I've forgotten what the sky looks like. So anyway, what would you rate this out of 5?
2.5.
Really? Whoa.
Yes. I did not enjoy this movie. 2.5.
Damn. It's brutal.
Sorry.
Literally, like Tom Holland's now choking somewhere.
That's okay. I still love Tom. I still give this movie a 2.5 though.
And his £10 million house. So I'm gonna go with a 3.5.
All right.
I think I prefer the first one. I think the first one's much stronger. The second one. Right. Anyway, let's start talking about No Way Home. Okay.
Again, this is your last chance to pause, pull out, stop, hit the next button. Like this is it. This is it. This is all hands on deck. We are about to dive deep into Spider-Man.
We're gonna talk about every single spoiler in this movie.
Everything.
And we're not saying this to be dipshits. Like,
no, but we don't want you to get mad at us. Like, we're telling you ahead of time, we are about to spoil Spider-Man No Way Home. So
yeah. Oh, and we are going to talk about something in Hawkeye.
Yes.
Just so you know.
We're going to spoil Hawkeye too.
Not the whole of Hawkeye, just one thing that happens in Hawkeye.
Up to episode 6? Is that what we're on now?
Five.
We're spoiling up episode 5.
No, I'm not going to spoil the plot of all the 5 episodes. There's just one thing that happens in episode 5 that I kind of felt was kind of
it's all connected,
linked-ish, like
connected.
But yeah, that's what they used to say, and then they were liars. But now,
all connected.
But now I think it is all connected. Now that Marvel have got most of the control, other than Sony, they've got most of the control now.
Oh,
so
yeah. So again, last chance, last call. This is it. We're full steam ahead at this point. So,
okay. So this film, do you want to summarize, or should I just summarize?
Nope. I just want to jump right into it. I don't want to summarize anything.
Oh no! All I was going to say is like where it picks up in terms of, so this movie starts exactly where number 2.
Yeah. With Peter being stuck in the middle of New York City, where everybody is like, "Holy shit, you're Spider-Man!"
But I love it though when stuff like that happens, because there's a lot of films that leave you on a cliffhanger, and even TV series do this. They'll leave you on a cliffhanger, and then when the next part starts, I don't know, they'll do like 2 years ago. Like, no, I don't care about 2 years ago. I want to know. Like, I've waited ages. Like, why are you doing this to me? But I love the fact that they literally like see Tom Holland, the big reveal. Suddenly Zendaya's MJ is getting surrounded, panicking. Tom Holland grabs her, they swing off, whatever. And they kind of just jump straight into the fallout. We don't get this whole
there is no reprieve, no break, no nothing. There's no one there to save Peter, no one to help him. The shit hits the fan, and every single person in New York City and across the world now knows that he is Spider-Man. Like, he has helicopters at his house, FBI banging on his door. Like, shit has gone. And
also you see on the news that they kind of referencing the Mysterio battle still. You know, they haven't. What I do love. I am someone who really loves when people don't ignore the past. Like, you know, a lot of creators sometimes like to come in and then kind of start again or whatever, or put their own take on it. It's like, no, I am someone who loves continuity. Like, don't get me wrong, I read Batman and I don't want them to be referencing an issue that came out in 1955, but like, I do love it when like they kind of are aware of things that have happened. You know, obviously I more prefer it as a reader or a fan if it's stuff in the last 5 or 10 years.
Right.
But,
well, in this case, it's 2 years.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of time though. Like, I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but you know, like there's a lot of time where the next episode is kind of been brushed under the carpet or whatever, or like you see like a character dying on the side. The next episode goes 6 months later, and you see them walk in, and everybody goes, you're back. You're like, no, are you kidding me? Like he's back on the job.
That is what we call lazy writing.
Yeah. I honestly hate that.
Writing.
So I love the fact that we went straight into this. So I think that was awesome. So anyway, 3 of these, the Homecoming trilogy is probably the best way of describing this.
Yeah. But first of all, though, the trailers are full of shit. I'm just gonna say that. Like,
they did edit stuff out.
They edited things in those trailers completely out of order. Like, we got to those scenes in there, and I was like, this dialogue is from 20 minutes ago, but like this scene was in the trailer with dialogue from a scene that's not even in the same part of the film.
There's a bit where in the trailer where Stephen Strange winks at Peter, and that was never in the movie.
Well, yeah, but the whole thing with Wong telling him to not cast a spell and giving him that look, like, that's not what Wong said at that moment. Wong told him not to cast a spell a long, long time before we got to that moment. Like, it's just a whole bunch of stuff that was in the trailer that they cut in a specific way. And I can see why, because they had to recut the trailers, because if they had let the trailer play out the way that it plays out in the film, they would have spoiled the film. But it was just very annoying, because it was like, having seen the trailer, you anticipate the scene to happen, and when it happens, it's completely different, and you're just like, what is happening right now?
I don't mind the fact that the trailers were manipulated, and a lot of people were referencing, so we won't talk about it right now, but the Scorpion, not the Scorpion, I keep saying the Scorpion, the Lizard. So the Lizard, a lot of people, in the battle at the end, the Lizard, you see the Lizard's head move, but nobody seems to be moving it in the trailer. And a lot of people are saying there's clearly somebody else that does it, but I can't remember which person it was. but you see it in the movie that somebody actually does kick him in the head, but they edited that out. So all those people that were jumping on that saying it's clear as day that Marvel have edited that out. So yeah, the trailers were very well put together, but I am glad, having sat down and watched this movie, that they did do that kind of trickery in editing. So
yeah, like I said, they would not have been able to show the scenes the way that they actually played out because they would have spoiled it. But it was just another thing, like, you guys like had these actors lying through their teeth all this time before this movie came out. Like, I feel really bad for Andrew Garfield.
Oh, he got harassed big time. Wow.
And also, Andrew Garfield is a terrible fucking liar.
Oh, he is not
such a bad liar.
He is not a good poker face. He's not a good
I don't even know how you're an actor. Andrew, please, if you ever come across this podcast, I would love to ask you, like, how in the hell you got into acting when you can't even lie about the movies that you're in? Come talk to me, please.
There's that thing on who is it? Who's that interviewer you have? The late night guy?
Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon's interviewing him for something, and he's on a big screen, and he's like showing him some photo of apparently him on the set, and like Andrew Garfield's trying to come up with some story about how it's not him or whatever, but literally he's like got the worst face.
He is so bad, and I don't know if that was like on purpose, if that was his shtick. Like, I don't know, but Andrew, like, you are the worst kept secret in Hollywood. Like, Toby was really good about it. Like, Toby, you could have like seen Toby and been like, maybe he's telling the truth. But Andrew, you gave it away months ago, sir.
Oh, yeah. So I still wasn't 100%. Even when I went into this film, though, I honestly thought I don't know what to believe. So I've got to say, when I went into this movie, I had hopes, and I think Andrew Garfield.
I didn't get what I wanted.
Hey,
I didn't get.
Yeah. We'll talk about what you wanted in a minute, but so I had hopes. I had a lot of hopes, and I was worried that I would be let down. So I was trying. I was honestly trying to not get too excited about it, because I genuinely thought, people, films and TV have done this to me before. So I was like, I'm not gonna get too hyped. I was hyped, but I was not gonna be trying to be too hyped. So I was like, I need to be calm. So I was like, okay, so I'm not gonna get.
I was the complete opposite. I knew
I was not gonna.
I had anticipated everyone, but I had my stakes on Andrew and Toby, but like, I didn't get anyone else that I wanted. And so there were a lot of cameos that I had hoped for that never, ever materialized. But like, there's no way they could tell the story without those two. Like, it just, as soon as we all realized what the plot was, there was no way that you're going to bring in those Spider-Man villains without bringing in those Spider-Man. Like,
so the way they did it, though, they still introduced the villains, and they were really like pitting it. So okay, so to talk about the setup of the villains, obviously because of the bomb of the identity, Peter's friends and girlfriend, their lives have been ruined. Their universities they want to go to are all rejecting them, and every single one in the letter says, look, due to your recent controversies around you, we decided
you're too hot, we cannot admit you.
So then he goes to Stephen Strange, Doctor Strange, who apparently now is actually no longer the
because he got blipped.
Sorcerer Supreme. So Wong is a Sorcerer Supreme. No one knew that was coming. So I wonder if they'll turn that around in Doctor Strange 2. So who knows? So Doctor Strange creates a spell, and Peter tries to, but Peter, because he can't shut up, alters the spell. The spell becomes too dangerous. Stephen Strange puts it in a box. However, apparently bits of the spell leaked out. Anyway, so then Stephen Strange has a go at him because he hasn't gone to actually try and plead their case. He's like, what? Your first thought was magic over going to plead the case? Yes. And he's like, what? I can do that. It's like, yeah, like.
At that point, you really should have been like, how is it that you're even trying to get into MIT when you don't even know how to appeal anything? Like what the hell?
How is it your first thought was to brainwash the entire world?
Right.
Rather than like, I mean, this is just, this is a teenager, isn't it? Like, let's just, me, I would have tried to argue it. like I wouldn't have tried to do magic. Like,
Oi.
so yeah, so he swings over to this bridge to meet one of the MIT ladies, and that's when we get to meet the first one, Doc Ock. So
hello,
that
Peter.
was brilliant. Oh, honestly, that's so great. I almost wish I hadn't seen the trailers, but it was
it was still so good.
It was good. So good. I love it though when even that bit when he sees his mask and he's like, "You're not Peter." He's like, "I'm so confused right now."
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, then eventually we sort of just trickle through the film. We meet a load of villains, and yeah, let's just start breaking down our thoughts though. So, what's your overall thoughts on just these films as a whole?
This is a film where, for the first time in an MCU film, the entirety of the MCU takes a backseat. This film is a Spider-Man film. So in order to have enjoyed this film, you would have to have been a fan of the Sony Spider-Man films. Like with Homecoming and Far From Home, you didn't have to know anything about either of the Sony franchise Spider-Man that came before Tom Holland. But with this film to me felt like a big thank you to Spider-Man fans, because there were just so many references, so many little inside jokes, so many pieces and quirks that are so specific to those individuals and to those specific films that you cannot appreciate this film if you are not a Spider-Man fan. Because if you had only been an MCU fan and you watch this film, then for half the film you're very confused, because
100%
so much of this pulls from Sony's catalog versus pulling from Marvel's catalog that you almost completely forget that this is a Marvel film. Like,
imagine being like 16, 18 years old, going in this film today and having never watched the Sam Raimi trilogy.
Yeah, and I don't know what that would have felt like, because the theater went nuts when people were really excited when Andrew popped up, but people lost their shit in my theater when Tobey Maguire.
I literally, like, honestly, words can't describe. Do you know what though? I didn't expect it. I didn't expect people to go as nuts as they did. I honestly didn't. Like, so when Andrew Garfield comes through that, like, sort of
the
magic portal, yeah, that's a much better word than I was going to go for. So when he comes through that portal, I don't know what I was going to say. Like, I was trying to come up with something really elaborate.
I really want to know what you were going to say.
A wormhole, I think I was going to say. Like it was not a wormhole, like a portal. And anyway, so when he comes through the portal, but as he came through, I was like, I honestly just didn't believe. I honestly thought they were going to F us over. I honestly thought, no, only because they've been such denial. Like, I was
a believer the whole time. At least in those two, I was a believer that those two were going to show up.
So when Andrew Garfield comes through in the suit, and I could sort of, this ripple of noise was coming through the cinema, because I think people were slowly seeing it, believing
when
it.
He turned around and you could see his full suit in the light. That was when my theater lost it.
Yeah,
because they recognized his suit.
People were clapping, people were cheering, people were screaming.
Yeah.
And then, but unfortunately, so I saw this with my daughter, and she said to me, "I wish they'd have done the Tobey Maguire reveal, say 10 minutes later." And she said because it was too obvious that the next thing was going to be.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, but even if they'd done it 10 minutes later, because they put Andrew Garfield. Yeah, because Andrew Garfield had happened, it was too obvious. But when they open the next one, because the guy, when Ned goes, "Oh, should we just keep doing it until we find Peter?" I was like, "You're literally setting us up. You literally." So when they open the next one, you see this guy walk in and plain clothes. People lost their minds.
Yes.
People
there
were like
a much bigger reaction in the theater for Toby than there was for
100%. I think Andrew Garfield must have known he was the second. I mean, really, he is Spider-Man 3, isn't he? So even Tom Holland is above Andrew Garfield. And I feel a bit sorry for Andrew Garfield, but when he comes in, both of them, when they come in, people. My daughter even said to me, apparently I was doing it. I was like, I don't remember doing it. She's like, yeah, she was like, you were screaming and shouting. I was like, was
Yeah.
I? I said, I remember clapping. Like, she's like, you were shouting. I was like, was I? I literally can't remember.
That's so random. In the moment you forgot.
I was. I was like, obviously I was. But honestly, because everyone was screaming and shouting, initially their first words, I never even heard them. Like, I didn't even hear what they were saying. You almost wish they'd have done it live so they could have waited for a minute. Like, so.
Well, okay, so with the Andrew reveal, he was like, I'm not the Peter that you're looking for. And with Toby, he was like, I have been looking for your Peter.
Oh yeah. I kind of vaguely heard, but it was very difficult because there was a lot of noise.
Yes.
And but honestly, when the moment I saw them, I was like, I can't believe it. I literally have like been dreaming about this moment for a year.
I felt like I was 17 again when Tobey Maguire popped up. Like,
me and you have been joking about this.
Biggest fucking grin on my face that my face hurt from smiling so hard. Like, I was so excited to see Toby again as honestly. Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, and I think that was good. I think that was clever that he didn't come in the suit.
Yeah.
Because then we got another thing when he put the suit on, people went crazy again. Like,
well, when he revealed that he was wearing it under his clothes.
Yeah. That was amazing. Yeah. But so I mean, we'll just talk. So these three eventually meet. So they get Tom Holland together, and the three of them are great. Like, we got what I love is though, because I was a bit concerned about this, that it was just going to be a cameo. That's what my fear was, but actually it was the real back half of the film they were in. Yeah. So they had some
significant roles.
Yeah, so we even really got a bit of a redemption arc for Andrew Garfield, I would say. So
and if I recall correctly, I called that a couple of episodes ago.
Did you actually call it? I can't remember.
And you were like, no. Tom has to save MJ. It's got to be Tom. And I was like,
okay.
I think it's gonna be Andrew.
This is sounding familiar, but like I don't like to be wrong. Anyway, so yeah, but okay, well let's just talk about that now. So there's a big battle at the end. By the way,
the Statue of Liberty that they're putting Captain America's shield on.
Which is weird. Just effing stupid. Anyway.
That's so weird.
So Zendaya is falling down the side of the building, which I'll be honest with you, I literally stopped breathing because I was like, please don't kill her off.
Because after they killed May,
we'll come back to May. We'll come back to May.
Not expecting that.
So obviously May's death. We'll come back to. So MJ's falling down the side of the building, and it's clear as day that Peter's life is literally falling apart now. So when she's fallen down, obviously we now know the risks are a lot higher in this movie. Mm-hmm. And when the Green Goblin pushed Tom Holland aside, I'll be honest, for a split second I was like, they're not going to do this to us again, are they? Because they kill off Gwen Stacy in Amazing Spider-Man 2. And when Andrew Garfield just suddenly turned, and dived down,
such an emotional scene too.
Everybody went nuts again, literally.
To the point where even like in the scene, Zendaya's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, but he's like, he's a mess. Like, he is a crying mess.
But that was such a good thing. But also when Andrew Garfield as well talked about how he was Spider-Man after she died, because obviously we didn't get an Amazing Spider-Man 3, but how he talked about how he dealt with things. It was kind of nice to hear how his life went on beyond Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2. And honestly, it really does make me want to see more of Andrew Garfield, because
me too.
He actually, I thought, did comedy well. So when he cleaned the web of the corner and stuff like that, they were like, "Oh, can you crawl around and prove a Spider-Man?" It's like, I'm not going to crawl around. Look, I'm holding myself to the ceiling. I wouldn't be able to sit there. No, I want to crawl out. And he's like, no. My mum says, can you get the web? Get the spider's web in the corner. And he actually goes and does it. I actually thought Andrew Garfield, the people behind Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, just, you messed up, man. You could have actually probably had a really good trilogy.
He's funny. I mean, if you look at them now, Toby has this least personality of the three of them, but Andrew and Tom are neck and neck as far as their chattiness to me. They're both just so chatty. They're it's almost like that's what they do when they get nervous. They're just chatterboxes. It's kind of endearing.
I was going to say, just shuffled things around a little bit because we talked a lot about the three of them. Out of the three of them, who is your favorite?
Toby is still my favorite, but I think Toby's my favorite because he was
the youth pastor. The youth pastor.
Yes.
It's difficult, like I actually feel, oh god, I'm losing my voice. I actually really like struggle like with this whole who's the favorite Spider-Man. Like I probably will have to go with Toby because he, out of the three movies, I go back to them a lot.
Yeah.
But like I think Andrew Garfield was really redeemed in this movie. Like, and it does show you though, like with the right creative team. I mean, you could have had a really good Spider-Man in Andrew Garfield, but it goes to show you. I'm not saying the people that wrote and directed this are terrible writers and directors, because Sony, I don't think, knows what they're doing. So it could be that actually the studio is pushing their own agenda, but because they wanted to world build, that's where it went wrong. They wanted to create multiple spin-offs.
But the problem with Sony and the entirety of the Amazing Spider-Man films was they were competing against themselves, and there was no reason for them to have done that. There was no reason for them to have shot themselves in the foot the way that they did, but they were impatient, and that is what their impatience cost them.
It cost them having to do a deal with Marvel, basically.
Yeah.
So, had they been more patient, they could have been doing this without them. I'm glad. I'm glad that they effed up because,
because look what we got as fans. Look what we got.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire is my favorite. I'm going to go with that. Yeah. So
I just love that he's like older, and he kind of presents as this like wise old sage. Like he's just so subdued and he's so chill. And there's the one scene where they're in the lab and they're making the cures for all of the villains. And, Andrew and Toby are talking and they're like, mine was Gwen and yours was MJ. And I don't really know, like, I don't think that this is going to work, yada, yada, yada. And Toby's like, well, I mean, it takes work, but you'll find love again. Like, but you got to give it a chance and you got to work at it.
Yeah.
And he's like, it wasn't easy for us. And me and my MJ, like we ended up getting back together and we're fine now.
I love the webbing thing. The fact that the webbing comes out of him. They're like, does it come out of anywhere else? Like,
that is such a boy thing to ask.
No, it doesn't. It comes out of here. That's it.
No, it was so funny though, because like when he did it, they were both like, what is that? And he was like, you can't do that. And they were like, no. So I really appreciated that. That's why I said that this is like specifically for Spider-Man fans, because there was so much controversy when the 2002 films came out because Peter produced his own webbing, and people were so pissed off way back then. And they were like, that is not what Spider-Man does. He invents his own webbing, blah, blah, blah. And everybody was so pissed about the shooters and how Toby didn't have shooters, that the webbing actually came out of his body. So like, I thought it was really funny that they addressed that in the film.
I actually love that the webbing came out of him. I thought that was great when they did that in the movies. They introduced that briefly in the comics. Actually, they made Peter Parker be able to do it briefly, and then they got rid of that again. So, I'm gonna go with Tobey Maguire as my favorite, but I'll be honest, Andrew Garfield really,
in better hands, maybe Andrew Garfield.
In better hands, Andrew Garfield, I really enjoyed in this movie.
Yes.
I think we covered a lot in the last review, but there's elements of both those films I liked. There was a lot I didn't like, and Andrew Garfield, unfortunately, was a big part of what I didn't like. But in this movie, honestly, different eyes or whatever, like I was looking at him completely differently. He was so good. So.
I liked Andrew himself. Like I didn't like the way that the character was written, but I liked him.
I didn't like. I felt like I always joke that he's emo Spider-Man. Like, but yeah. Anyway, so how do you feel they sort of stack up against sort of previous?
I think this
movie stacks up against previous Sony.
Let's see. I would still say that if we're just doing Spider-Man, as far as personal favorite, Spider-Man 2 is still my personal favorite. But as far as quality, I really don't think that any of the other Spider-Man films top this film in quality of film.
I think what I'm pleased about is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3 was terrible.
Yes.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 was so bad that we didn't even get a 3. So this is the third Homecoming trilogy movie of Spider-Man with Tom Holland. And I actually have to say it's the best of a third.
Yes.
Like, because, you know, it was actually nice to see them end a trilogy well. So,
but I think that they did something really important with this one, and they upped the emotional factor, which in a lot of the third films, it's usually the third film is the revenge film, right? Like whatever bad thing happened, it happened in the second film. And then the characters spend the entirety of the third film trying to avenge whatever happened in the second film. Whereas in this film, all of the tragedy happens in this film. Because this film has that emotional weight.
Oh, so much like.
Oh my God, it's that it elevates this film. Like this film, to me, it's even better than Homecoming.
I mean, look, we're not going to discuss these. Blade 3, Iron Man 3. Flipping terrible movies.
Yeah. Fast and Furious 3 was Tokyo Drift, which come on.
There's so many thirds so terrible.
Yes.
This third, flipping phenomenal film.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like so. Yes. Right, okay. So in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe fitting it together, I don't really think entirely it matters because, well, no, I do think it matters because of Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange, whilst he actually played a much smaller role in this movie than
I thought he
was going to, he played a much smaller role. But I'm actually really pleased. I'm actually glad.
Yes.
Like, so I enjoyed having Iron Man in the first one, even though that was a smaller role. I enjoyed seeing Nick Fury in the second one, although albeit it was a scroll. But I'm actually glad that we didn't really get a good chunk of Doctor Strange. I'm glad that Peter Parker found a way to get rid of him for 12 hours. Yeah. And man, a lot happened in those 12 hours.
Oh, boy.
But I'm actually glad when he shows up at the end. I was still a little bit disappointed. I was like, I don't want Doctor Strange. I just want to concentrate.
But someone had to correct the magic, though.
I know. Yeah. However, when all the craziness was going on, Doctor Strange is saying they're all coming through.
Yeah.
One of my friends said to me he could see an image of Rhino in the background. I didn't see that. I saw someone with a hammer.
I saw someone with a hammer. I saw someone wearing horns. Like, I didn't see a Rhino.
Well, I'm assuming some of these things we'll see later on. So we know that there's obviously
supposedly there's going to be another 3 films.
Well, yeah. No. Well, yeah, 3 Spider-Man films. But what I'm wondering is, like, so Doctor Strange 2, which is going to tie into the multiverse. We know Loki, the TV series, is tied into the multiverse. And
we're assuming Ant-Man and the Quantumverse.
And Ant-Man and the Quantumverse. So in terms of the overall MCU, I think that Doctor Strange and the other films are going to handle this whole multiverse stuff.
Yes.
But I think that Spider-Man will be very much back to street level stuff again, I would assume. So
since with the spell having been completed by the end of the film, which was the only way to close those portals, was do the spell the way that you were originally going to do it and let everyone forget me. Let everyone forget that Peter Parker ever existed. And Strange
still don't think that really works. I still don't think that really works. Like,
I mean,
no, because how on earth does he get paid? Like, how does he get a job? Like,
people forget about him. That doesn't mean that he can't go and introduce himself to new people, but everyone that knew him has now forgotten that he existed.
Yeah, but surely, like, what I mean is, what happened to his birth certificate? Like, what happened to, if it's all gone, how does he get a new identity? Or I don't know. I'm questioning. He doesn't have any money, does he? Like, so
I think that's how he's going to end up working at the Daily Bugle. I think the Daily Bugle probably pays its contractors under the table. And so that's how he's going to get into like photography, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that would be pretty cool as Spider-Man 4 sees him and J. Jonah Jameson.
And then we get J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah.
Like in a much bigger role, the web-headed menace and stuff like that. Yeah. Maybe we'll probably have to wait a good few years before we get to see Spider-Man 4. But anyway, so there's been 6, 7, 8 movies now, Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite one?
Favorite is still Spider-Man 2.
Still Spider-Man 2.
Still Spider-Man 2. I think this is a better film than Spider-Man 2, but my favorite is still Spider-Man 2.
I think, to be honest with you, this has now got to be my favorite Spider-Man film. Like, I
That's
honestly am
It's
going to
really
go see this
good.
again. Like, so, okay, so in this movie, it's a lot of characters.
Oh, this is a
Do you have
tough
a
one.
favorite? Do you have a favorite character?
I do.
Actually, before you say it, if you have a favorite character, do you have a character you think was not used well enough, like was underused?
Yes. I think that they could have done more with J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
I think turning him into, like, I can understand where they're coming from. They kind of have turned him into one of those talking heads on TV versus the newspaper guy that is trying to sell papers. It fits with the times, and that makes a lot of sense. But it just felt like they could have stayed a little bit more true to the J. Jonah Jameson that most Spider-Man fans are familiar with, and just kind of, I don't know, kind of kept him as like the guy that's always trying to, I don't know. I guess I just didn't like him as like a TV personality, so to speak. Like
I
I
think
would rather have seen him like in a different
Yeah.
capacity.
I agree with you. The TV thing's obviously done to modernize him.
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the characters I was a bit disappointed that we didn't get to see a bit more in the flesh, so to speak, is Sandman.
Oh, yeah.
And I felt like he was villainized way too quickly just to fit the story. When I don't buy that he's a villain. So
Yeah. He always seemed kind of neutral to me.
yeah, so he started off when he first came into this movie as kind of heroic. He was helping Peter.
Yeah.
And then he very quickly just turned, which people just don't flip like that. Like, you know.
I don't know, man. If I found myself in a different universe, I'd flip pretty quick because, like, I don't know you. I don't even know this place. Like, why should I trust you?
I suppose so. You've just seen him zap some guy. Yeah, I can kind of see that. But even Peter was like, no. Because Peter was like, I think Peter thought, oh, I can trust this guy. So I'm not going to zap you. Like, and then you suddenly start getting crazy. So yeah, I'm going to zap you. But no, I would have liked to see him, because I think in the movie he could flip between human and sand.
Yeah.
Like in Spider-Man 3. So I would like to have seen that happen more.
No, once he got converted, he was converted.
No, when he came out of the pit, he did turn back into his human form. Yeah, Look, rewatch number 3. Like, I know it was only like 2 weeks ago, but I'm pretty sure when he came out of that pit, I'm pretty sure he came out human.
Yeah, but I don't think the cell regeneration or whatever had finished yet.
It didn't last, but like I felt like he could flick between the two. But anyway, I would like to see a little bit more of him being human, but also a little bit more of having some time with him. But anyway, favorite character though.
Favorite character. Aside from the obvious, if I'm not picking,
not a villain, no villains.
Yeah. If I'm not picking one of the spiders, my favorite character was May.
Yeah, outside of the spiders.
Yes, my favorite character was May.
She did well. Like, so
I like that she was basically his conscience. Like, no, this is a difficult thing to do, but that's how you know it's the right thing to do. Like, what you did, the decision you made was the right decision, regardless of what Happy says or regardless of what, the TV says. Like, you made the right call.
I mean, look, we put this down and talk about it in a minute, but like, obviously Aunt May gave him finally the greatest power.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. It's finally time that he had that moment, because it's something that never happened. And they don't seem to reference Uncle Ben at all in this world.
I don't think Uncle Ben exists in this world.
I think because it's been done by the other two, that they kind of stayed away from it.
Yeah, so, but I love the way that both Toby and Andrew kind of, when basically Tom started to say, with great power, and then Toby finishes the line, comes great responsibility, and they kind of all share a moment where he's like, how do you know that that's what she said? And Toby's like, because Uncle Ben said it. And then Andrew goes, the day he died. And it was just kind of like, Jesus Christ, is that the catalyst here? Like, is that the thing that starts this like whole thing within the Spider-Men, is that your person, whether it's Ben or in Tom's case, May, like your person is the one to give you this advice on the same day that they die.
Well, yeah, that is like in the comics. That is how Uncle Ben says that on the day he dies. Like,
that's so interesting.
And so yeah, like, but I think, you look at like so many heroes that lose somebody close to them, and that kind of is the catalyst for them becoming a hero. So, anyway, so in regards to that whole moment, I was so pleased that we finally got it.
Yeah.
I was disappointed though that we got it at the expense of actually such a great character in Aunt May.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. Like, I definitely got all teary when May fell down again. Because of course, like when she got up and she walked over, I was like, oh, thank God. Like, hell yeah, of course May is fine. Like, of course she's fine. And then she fell down again, and I was like, oh no, oh no, it's happening. Oh God.
I honestly, so before she fell down, I thought she was going to be right. The moment she fell down, I was like, oh,
yep.
Okay. Right, okay. So favorite character, I'll be honest, I'm gonna really struggle. Like there's so many people like I enjoyed. Like, I mean, Tobey Maguire, obviously favorite Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Favorite character, I'll be honest, like really like struggling here.
It's too many to choose from.
There is too many to choose from. Like
I thought everyone played their parts really well. So it was,
you know,
it's like a buffet.
I know like we've kind of covered the Spider-Mans, but I think I'm not going to give a favorite character, but I'm going to feel like the most redeemed character to me was Andrew Garfield. Like I'll be honest with you, I enjoyed a lot of the characters, but anyway, favorite villain, I'm just going to go straight into it. Green Goblin.
Green Goblin.
Hands down. Yeah, hands down. Literally.
Gotta be. Listen, Green Goblin and Willem Dafoe specifically was such a good villain that from
they had to bring him back.
2002, they brought this man back 20 years later, and he still showed up every other fucking villain in this movie. Like,
I know.
That was impressive.
I mean, honestly, Willem Dafoe, he was the best villain of the entire thing. But they all knew that he was the best villain. Like, I mean, I think I would have liked it if Dr. Octopus had been a bit of a villain for a bit longer.
No, now, see, this is why Spider-Man 2 is my favorite. Octavius, to me, was always like wrong place, wrong time. Like, I always thought I liked his motivations a lot better than I liked Norman Osborn's motivations. So when Peter turned him normal and like turned off the connection between the AI and his brain, I was super stoked because I was like, yes, I could definitely see Dr. Ock being an ally, just because he didn't, it was almost like his villain transition was of anyone else's was like the one that was accidental. Like, so I always sympathized, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I've always sympathized with Doc Ock. So I really, really loved that he was a good guy and he stayed a good guy, and that he was the one that kind of helped and saved or stopped Electro from being a bad guy. So I really appreciated that. But yeah, Norman Osborn, Willem Dafoe, I just thought it was so great that his villain status has held for as long as it has. Like, it still holds up. Like, even without like the mask, even without, well, I mean, he ended up getting his glider back, but even without the glider, like, he was still really fucking intimidating. Like, in the apartment when, you know, the bad side flips back on, it was just kind of like, this fucking guy, like, he's so good. He's so
I think Willem Dafoe, like, I loved how we saw a little bit of how Norman Osborn creep through. I was really hoping that we would get a James Franco appearance, I'll be honest. Like, even if it was like mid credits or something, I don't know. Like, so we're bringing this kind of thing to an end. So there's a huge battle at the end, and I do love that Tobey Maguire is stopping Tom Holland from killing Green Goblin,
from killing his villain.
From killing his villain. So there's a few things disappointed here. I'm disappointed that we didn't get enough Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe together. There wasn't enough of that for me. So I think that's disappointing. I like the fact though that we did see Tobey Maguire stand up to Tom Holland and show that he is the more experienced Spider-Man. Yes, okay.
Show him that there's a better way.
Yeah, and Tom Holland has been on a team. He's been on the Avengers. He's been in space. But Tom Holland is the Spider-Man. like he's Spider-Man. He's the more experienced of all of them, and
Yeah.
it showed that he was the more experienced, which I think was great. And so this begs a big question for me. They saved all the villains, and then obviously they went back to what I'm assuming is the point in time before they died, right? So what happens? Like,
what happens indeed?
Well, so Tobey Maguire goes back home, right? So the timeline would have changed. Andrew Garfield went back, the timeline would have changed. Does that mean when Tobey Maguire goes back that like Harry's not dead anymore? You know, Norman's not dead anymore. Like when Andrew goes back, does that mean Gwen Stacy's still alive? Like, you know, what happened? I know that it wasn't Electro that killed him, but like just maybe I don't know. Like maybe they wouldn't have been at the power plant together. Like maybe Gwen wouldn't have been there. Maybe she would have still been at the bridge or something like that. I don't know. Like
I don't think that it would have worked that way, because the implication was all of these villains transferred over to this universe just in the moment before they died.
Yeah.
So Gwen was already dead when Electro dissipated. So I don't think she would have come back if Electro survives.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, anyway, but I think the bigger implication here was for Toby, because obviously Norman Osborn was his first villain, which had a massive ripple effect with Harry. So we saw Harry's character over 2 and 3 disappear down the villain hole. So that would not have happened. James Franco's journey into hell would not have happened because his father didn't die. So I don't know. I'm just kind of curious as to what those worlds now look like.
Yeah, the questions are endless.
And I was hoping we'd see something of that, but we didn't. So
no.
Anyway, what did you think? Did you think this like lived up to the hype?
Yes, honestly, which I think is rare. In this day and age, but I 100% believe that this film lived up to all of its hype. Yes, I do.
Yeah, do you know, honestly, this movie, literally, me and you have been joking on this podcast for like well over a year about this film.
Yeah.
I like, you know, we weren't even in this film. I thought we were going to be in it. Like,
I think they cut our scene, honestly.
Okay, yeah. So they
cut it. Where maybe we'll be on the DVD extras.
Yeah, maybe. Literally, the rumors were going crazy. Who was going to be in this film? Who wasn't going to be in this film? So I'm pretty sure that I was in this film.
I know for sure I filmed the scene for this film. Like I said, it was not in the theatrical cut. So in a few months, like I'll find it. I'll be like, that's my arm right there.
That's my dead body.
Yeah.
That's my foot. That's my foot.
Number 573.
That's my foot sticking out of that rubble. Imagine like being that guy. I don't think they get people to do that. I think they just put a leg on them, like a rubber leg, not real leg. I don't think Marvel.
I don't know if they only have $160 million budget. They might just put people in there. Like, hey, we need 500 extras today.
We need to ring up the morgue. How many bodies have you got? Sorry, it was a dark joke. What do you think's next for Tom Holland? And don't talk about Venom right now. What do you think's next for him other than Venom?
I think he has got a long road ahead of him. We have never seen a Spider-Man that didn't have like help, right? Every version of Spider-Man has had some kind of help from friends, family, co-workers, villains. Like they've had help, but now nobody remembers who Peter Parker is. And so it's kind of like you get a clean slate, which sometimes that can feel like you're cheating as a writer. That feels like you're cheating the audience out of this character dealing with the implications of everything else that they have done before. So literally we have now wiped the slate clean. We still have the character of Spider-Man, and now no one knows who Spider-Man is anymore, but we have lost the character of Peter Parker. So Peter Parker has a unique opportunity to completely reinvent himself going forward without Tony Stark as a mentor, without anyone on the Avengers remembering who he is. This kid literally has to start from zero. And it's going to be really interesting to see where that goes. I think this is going to be their perfect opportunity to pull him into the Young Avengers, especially since we're getting a Miss Marvel show with Kamala Khan. I think that's going to be the opportunity.
I just realized I didn't actually ask you something. Anyway, so when he went into that apartment at the end, and they're like, yeah, the rent's due, whatever, or I can't remember what they said. I
Rent's
swear
due
to
on
you,
the 1st. Don't be late.
I swear to you, I honestly hoped like there was going to be a door opposite, and I can't remember the actress's name or the actor's name, but I was hoping like the landlord and the daughter from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 and 3 was going to be like on the other side. I thought if they'd have done that, I would have lost my mind. I was like, I know they're not big, but I was like, that would have been
still,
such a
talk about
cool
continuity. Yeah,
that would have been a really cool thing to have done,
Yeah.
like to show like in a way like the dump that he now lives in, because that was like a dump where they lived before.
yeah.
So that would, you know what, if they do that in the next film, that would be brilliant. So just to have her living next door or something like that, that would have been, but honestly, that would have been so good. So look,
So I'm wondering if he moved into Hell's Kitchen, where there are some other interesting characters that we might be seeing pretty soon.
Okay, so to skip all the way back to the beginning, I'll be honest, I literally didn't know what to say. Like initially I was like, am I actually seeing this? Because the cinema was making way more noise than I could think. Like the noise and my thoughts were just not, well, you know, I think. And so suddenly Charlie Cox is actually on screen as Daredevil, and everyone is going absolutely nuts. And I was like, initially, am I seeing this? Like, is Charlie Cox? I can't, like, is he actually? Oh, I'll be honest with you, I didn't think he was going to be in it. I didn't. I genuinely didn't.
I knew he would be in it.
No, I just didn't. I just didn't think Marvel were going to be nice to us. I thought they were going to let us down.
No, but I think at the end, the rumors really just got out of hand, and they mentioned the Netflix rumors.
Yeah.
And someone made the mistake of confirming that Charlie Cox. Oh, Kevin Feige said that Charlie Cox is our Daredevil.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I was like, oh, 100%. Matt is in the film. Matt Murdock is in this movie. But if we bring
a big part of me forgot though. I'll be honest, a big part of me forgot. Like when I went into it, I think I was so focused on just sitting there and watching the film.
Yeah, that's how you should be.
And suddenly Charlie Cox is sitting there, and what I loved was Brick comes through the window and he reaches out and grabs it.
One-handed
and then Peter Parker's like, how did you do that? He went, I'm a really good lawyer. Yeah. I was just like, I honestly wish Foggy had been sitting there, like from the TV series. Yeah. And honestly, I'll be really peed off if they don't bring back Karen Page and Foggy Nelson.
I know they have to. If they're gonna bring back Charlie Cox, that's a pretty good sign that they're going to start the contract negotiations for everyone else.
Well, they probably have.
Hopefully, they don't stick with Iron Fist.
Do you know what though? I'd be happy if they left it alone and brought them all back. Like I know people weren't overly enjoying Danny Rand, but I'd rather they just bring them all. I hate recasting. I really do. Like just bring him back. No, but the thing is, look, Andrew Garfield, we said in Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 was handled badly. Maybe I can't remember the actor's name who played Danny Rand, but maybe in the right hands. Yeah, Finn something. Maybe in the right hands, he could be really good Iron Fist. But they should definitely bring back the girl Colleen. Yeah, 100% bring her back. The actress who plays her, 100%. Like, do you know what? I'd even be happy if people really want to jump on the I hate Danny Rand train, bring her back as Iron Fist. Just do it as her. Like, kill off Danny Rand if that's what you got to do. Like. I'd show him, don't do off-screen deaths. I hate off-screen deaths. But she had the Iron Fist when Iron Fist series finished. So,
I never watched the second season.
So she had the Iron Fist. Yeah,
I love her. I love Wick.
But he had the Iron Fist weapons. So so this is a really cool thing. So I haven't read Ed Brubaker's comic book run. But apparently, I want to read it though. But the Ed Brubaker's comic book run, they dive into this previous Iron Fist who didn't have the Iron Fist in his actual fist. He had like the Iron Fist, like so he had guns that had the power of the Iron Fist. So like they shot bullets like Iron Fist type thing. And so Danny Rand no longer has the Iron Fist, but he has these guns like that have got the power of the Iron Fist. And it ends with him having these guns like in Asia somewhere or something. And so I was like, that's flipping cool. I was like, so I really wanted to see a third season to see where this was going. I mean, we'll never get to see that. I'm assuming if Marvel brings him back or whatever. So anyway, we've really digressed here. So Hawkeye episode 5 ends with a single picture of Kingpin.
Of specifically Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin.
It's a bit vague. Like I have to say, is a bit vague. However, Vincent
D'Onofrio.
That tweeted out a picture of Hawkeye the same day. So hands down, it's him.
It's happening. If they're pulling in Daredevil people, there are going to be other people from the Netflix world that are going to be pulled in as well. Now, with the multiverse and with all of this happening, it is the perfect opportunity if they do choose to recast anyone. This is the chance to do so. But I think it could be awesome, especially if everybody has forgotten who Peter Parker is. He is going to need some help to get back on the hero track. So it could possibly be that they're saving the introduction of these characters for a Spider-Man film. Because like if you can tack on the Netflix heroes with someone as big as Spider-Man, then I think that is going to open up more doors into them having either their own individual films or like one giant Defenders film or even a Heroes for Hire film.
I'd love to see Daughters of the Dragon.
There's so much, because I also Heroes for Hire is so fun. Like the chemistry between Danny Rand and Luke Cage is absolutely hilarious. With Power Man and Iron Fist, like if we can get something like that out of this, that would be really great. And if Spider-Man drops all the way back down to like street level, then I think him getting in with the Defenders is the perfect way to elevate him back to like Avenger status.
It'd be so cool to see like a Spider-Man Daredevil movie, like number 4 beats Spider-Man Daredevil. Like that would be amazing. Yeah, like hands down. Like
because then you have the opportunity to start bringing in other characters like Elektra. That we never. I mean, we got an Elektra.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, like okay, so there's some mid-credit scenes.
Yes, there's the one mid-credits.
There's one mid-credit and there's an end credit.
But the mid-credit, that was sneaky. That was very sneaky what they did. Mid-credit, we got...
I was extremely disappointed in that mid-credit scene.
Why?
Because I was disappointed that Eddie Brock, Venom, is in the MCU for potentially, a week? He's sitting at a bar drunk and never ever even meet Spider-Man. Like the whole movie, I kept thinking, when is he going to show up?
No.
And he doesn't show. He's at the bar just drinking, and then he suddenly disappears. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me? You don't even go and see Spider-Man.
But
like, he leaves a tiny, tiny bit of his symbiote behind. Okay, so that means we're going to get a different Eddie Brock.
Which is fine. Which is totally fine. Or we're not going to get an Eddie Brock at all, and we're going to get a Venom they're going to go straight to Spider-Man.
Maybe the Scorpion, what's his name? Gargan, I forgot his bloody name. The guy from the first Spider-Man film, do you remember in prison? The Scorpion?
No.
So in the comics, the guy who's the Scorpion does get the Venom costume for a while. Mm-hmm. So when the Vulture goes to prison, do you not remember the guy who comes up to him at the end and said, I heard you know who Peter Parker is?
Yes.
So that's the Scorpion. So the Scorpion in the comics does become Venom for a while. So that would be a good twist if they made him Venom. So
I think that was a super sneaky and effective way to keep Venom in the MCU. That's what I think. Because I don't think Sony is done making Venom movies. I think they're going to make another movie with Tom Hardy. But I don't think that they are going to do another crossover like this. I think now that symbiote has been introduced, I think that is going to be the MCU's version of Venom, and that's how they bring Venom into this universe.
I just would love to have seen Eddie Brock and like this, like what's his name? Tom. The actor who plays Eddie Brock.
Oh, Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. Yeah. I would love to have seen him show up. I was really hoping the end battle was going to end with him showing up, but then it could have been too much. But
I think though the age difference between that Eddie Brock and this Spider-Man is too big. Like, I think it would look really unmatched if we had Tom Hardy versus Tom Holland.
I was hoping he was going to stay along. Maybe it was just a little teaser shit that he's going to be in Venom 4, but clearly we're going to get a Venom in Spider-Man 4.
Yes, we are getting Venom in the MCU.
So I don't think it's going to be street level at all if we've got Venom. So it might.
But Venom has a long way to go to get to Spider-Man. So because they were like somewhere in Mexico.
Unless because there was a rumor about Marvel and Sony wanting to do a King in Black storyline in the MCU. So
I just think that would be too big of a story, and you don't have that many heroes left. Like, who's gonna fight Null?
The MCU has still got heroes left.
Yeah, but they haven't introduced the X-Men yet. That entire run had X-Men characters, and Captain America was a big part of it.
Yeah, but if they're bringing in all the Defenders potentially, we've still got Hawkeye. We've got a new Black Widow. We've got Hulk still.
I don't think you can Captain Marvel. Even fight Null with no mutants, though.
Got Captain Marvel. As long as she shows up. As long as she shows up. So I don't know, but maybe we won't have the King of Black just yet. But maybe this sets the ground. Like, once we've done the multiverse, maybe we're gonna have the King of Black storyline.
Yeah, I just want to know when they're going to start introducing mutants. That's
what I was hoping was that Eddie Brock was going to stick around. Like, I hope that he was going to be here beyond that. And one of the reasons I hoped that was because I was hoping that the Morbius movie was set in the MCU. Because why the hell was the Vulture there?
Morbius has to be set in the MCU. It has to be. Specifically because Vulture is in it.
Either that or Sony just do not care. And this is why Sony needs to have those licenses taken away from them. If that is
Look, Sony, you don't know how to behave with these licenses, man. Like, y'all are really just wilding out at this point. I think it's going to be interesting. I am wondering if the MCU is going to use Morbius as some kind of Blade connection.
Guess we'll see. Anyway, there's another post credits which
it's not a post credit.
Sorry.
It's a trailer.
It's a trailer. Yeah,
so weird. Like, never seen anything like that in an MCU film. It is
literally
a teaser trailer for Doctor Strange 2. Like, it had nothing to do with this film at all.
So, I mean, look, the trailer's online. Go and look it up. But what I was hoping for was to see Tobey Maguire arrive home and kiss MJ. I seriously was hoping they brought Kirsten Dunst back. I really was like, please end the movie with Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire. And such a missed opportunity.
My wish was for Miles Morales. That was my wish.
So they did say
Jamie Foxx did have a throwaway line when he was talking to Andrew Garfield, and he said, man, all this time you were this guy from Queens, you help poor people. He's like, all this time I assumed you were black. And Andrew Garfield is just kind of like, I'm really sorry. And he's like, no, man, surely there's got to be a black Spider-Man out there somewhere. And
the moment they did that.
Yes, there is a black Spider-Man out there somewhere.
But okay, before we jump into ratings, let's be honest, they're going to see the money from this movie.
Yeah.
And I tell you not, this will not be the last time these people are on screen together.
Nope.
There will be a Spider-Verse live action movie, 100%. So
I am so ready. So I kind of let go of my Miles obsession when they talked to the I want to say Peter, I can't remember his name, but the people in the director for Into the Spider-Verse 2, and he was like, I have seen No Way Home, and I did not see Miles Morales in that film. And I was like, damn it. So I kind of went in not expecting Miles, but like, really, you say that not seeing Toby was a missed opportunity. You didn't even have to really cast anyone. You literally could have just showed a scene of a kid walking down the street wearing some J's, and everybody would have assumed that kid was Miles Morales.
Yeah, if they had done an end credits like that, and like you say, not even showing the face of them, even if it come up,
because then you still got plenty of time to cast it, but just show him walking.
Yeah, I think for me it would have had to have been on the same universe as Tom Holland's
Yes,
Spider-Man though,
because I think
So-
that they're close enough in age that could be a really cool thing.
well, because we've already met Miles's uncle.
Yes, and he was very young.
Yeah, so, but whatever it is, they didn't do it. So
I know.
I really am hoping for a Spider-Verse movie though. Like I would love to see Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire on screen together.
Yeah.
So,
Or even if they bring in the weird ones, like in the Spider-Verse film where you got the pig and the robot thing, and
that would be cool too.
But
But the thing is, though, now they've done it once. I'll tell you what, they'll do it again. They honestly will do it again.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
I think it will be a while before we see films collide like this again, but we are gonna start seeing a lot more of those Netflix faces popping up in these films.
okay. So rating out of 5.
4.5.
What?
4.5.
I'm gonna go 5. It's 5 out of 5 all day round, all day long. No, it's a 5.
4.5.
It's 100% 5.
I'm
Literally.
sticking 4.5.
My only criticism is Venom. Really, like I wanted him to stay along. I wanted him and Tom Holland to meet. But
They will, because Venom is still here.
no, I wanted.
You wanted Eddie Brock.
Yeah, I wanted that Eddie Brock, like to finally meet. Do you know what though? Like the best part about Venom 2 was that single teaser that he was in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Venom 2 is the biggest bag of shit I've ever seen. And the best part about that entire movie was that tiny little cameo. And then that entire cameo is completely undone in this second cameo. So I was like, okay, so then really it just means that Venom 2 is just a bag of shits.
So you're saying that this movie made Venom 2 even worse than it was
yeah,
before?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I don't know what I gave Venom 2. I don't know. But like, I'll probably put Venom 2 now. Whatever I said, it's going to be 0 out of 5. Like, so
it's not that bad.
It was, but it was a terrible film. And I only saving grace was that he landed in the MCU at the end of the movie. And you've just undone it. I mean, you literally just wasted your opportunity that you could have thrown him in this movie. Like, don't get me wrong, it could have been a bit too many characters, and it wouldn't have made too much sense to have had him join the Sinister Six that we had in this film. But I would have gone with it. I would 100% gone with it. I don't care. Like, and then
you were already all in. So, like, what's one more? What's one more?
Yeah, well, what's one more villain? Or don't have him in the film now, but just show him, I don't know, packing his bags to head to New York. Like, they effed it.
But the question is, why did human Eddie return, but symbiote Venom didn't? And if symbiote Venom didn't, if there were any other non-human people or things that came through, are they also still stuck in this universe?
No, I think he took his symbiote. I think he just left a tiny bit behind.
No, but Venom was in him. Like the symbiote was inside of him.
Yeah, no.
So
I mean,
when the symbiote was not encased in human skin, it did not go back to its universe.
Yeah, but what I'm assuming. Yeah, no, I'm assuming that Venom has left with 99% of his symbiote. Yes. But he's left a tiny piece of it behind.
But what I'm saying is everyone else left. Everyone else transported back to where they came from, except for that piece of symbiote. Why? Why didn't the symbiote go back to where it was? Why did the symbiote stay?
I mean,
and what else stayed? What else stayed?
I mean, hopefully not the Rhino.
What else stayed is going to be the question. If Venom could stay, what else could stay?
So I don't know, but I want a Spider-Verse movie now. That's all I'm saying.
I'm super stoked about Spider-Verse too. Across the Spider-Verse.
No, live action.
Anyway. No, but I'm still excited. The animation in the first one was phenomenal. Like, I'm assuming that the second one is going to be more of the same.
So anyway, I am so thrilled that we get to end the year talking about No Way Home finally. I didn't know whether we'd be able to because of COVID ruining our lives. But it's just amazing to see it. It's obviously the best thing. It's just one of the best movies this year. so many emotional highs and lows.
Yes.
Just honestly, for me, just to see those three Spider-Man together swinging through, and just like the point where they all land as well was amazing. Oh, it's just so much, just the chemistry between the three of them. I actually have to say, I think Andrew Garfield was probably the funniest of the three of them. Like he actually did a really good job.
And then when he was like, or Tom was like, what's the craziest villain you've ever fought? And Toby's like, oh, there was this one time I fought this black goo alien from outer space. And Tom is like, oh, I fought an alien here on Earth and in space. And Andrew is just kind of like, I am so lame. Never fought an alien. And Toby is like, you're amazing. Amazing Spider-Man. Oh man.
Yeah.
So...
He said that amazing thing twice, I think.
Yeah.
I know. I was thinking, can you make a joke about objective, like not having an amazing thing? What's it called? Objectiveless. What's it called? What's it called when you don't have a thing in front of it, like a spectacular or
an adjective?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, he should have said something like that to him. That wouldn't have been that funny, but I would have laughed. So maybe he should have made a homecoming joke. Anyway, right. No more weekly episodes for Geeks Unleashed ever again.
Not true.
I know. We're back in January.
Yes, we're taking the holidays off, as well should everyone else.
Yeah, we'll be back in 2022.
Yes.
We don't actually know what we're going to do in 2022.
No, we'll figure it out.
I think I wrote down a couple of ideas, but we'll sort it out over Christmas, and we'll be back. We'll be back in the new year. Man,
we do have one more book club dropping coming December 23rd. Because we have decided arbitrarily, along with our guest Robbie Billups of the Pop Culture Philosophers, that we are claiming Scott Pilgrim as a Christmas book. You can fight us, you can leave us comments about that, but it is said, we have spoken, Scott Pilgrim is a Christmas book, and from now on it will be our annual tradition to review a volume of Scott Pilgrim around Christmas. So
until we go up to episode
until we get to 6.
Yes. Yeah. Then we'll just have to review other stuff by
then we're going to make something else a Christmas book, so you just better be ready for it. But that will conclude our book club also for 2021, and the book club will be back in 2022. We have not decided what we're going to start with. We have an idea, so stay tuned. But we are, I know I am for sure, very much looking forward to some time off, just hanging with the fam, enjoying kicking this year in its teeth and moving on to something better.
We are going to drop we're doing another episode tomorrow, Saturday. We're going to basically just discuss the year. So
a year in review.
Jasmine may or may not be on it. We don't know yet. It's a mystery. It's a mystery.
The day job. Who gave the day job permission to ruin my weekends?
Yeah. So we won't say any more. But anyway, on YouTube, like, subscribe, bell, comment, do all that shizzle.
It's a notification.
Bell. It's a bell. Anyway, on podcasts, Apple, Podchaser, 5-star reviews, do your shing. So,
your what now? Do your what?
I was gonna merge some words, so I was like shing. What? I was actually gonna say a swear word. How much
wine have you had on this episode, sir?
I've only had one, I think. Anyway, so no, I've only had one. I was going to say a swear word, so I stopped myself and then I merged thing with a swear word. I'm trying to swear. I'm trying to swear less. So. Anyway, do your shing.
Do your shing.
Yeah.
Happy Christmas. Merry New Year.
Christmas. Merry New Year.
All of those good things. And good journey.
Happy holidays, as they say over there in the States.
Yes. All of the holidays. Whatever holiday you celebrate. Hope you enjoy it.
We don't say happy holidays. Anyway, see you later. Bye.
Bye.